Okay, a couple things we got to go over again. First and foremost, obviously, even though this has been long delayed, I'm going to be giving my overall thoughts here, and then we're going to have a big spoiler section in between two bits, and then we'll wrap things up, okay? Alright. Also, because the BBC can get kind of copyright claim happy here on YouTube, screen captures are going to be kind of sparse. There's not going to be as many, so you're going to have to look at me talking through a lot of this. Sorry in advance. Anyway, my overall thoughts on the 4 Doctor Who specials that reintroduced the 14th Doctor David Tennant and introduced the 15th Doctor Ncuti Gatwa. I'm going to be giving them overall a B. I think for the most part they're very enjoyable. The cast chemistry is really good. I think a lot of the effects are done well. Story, for the most part, is really good. I do like they bring back an old villain of sorts that hadn't been used in a long time. If there is a complaint I have, is that the pacing on a few of them is a little off. One of the specials I feel moves way too fast. The other, two of the others move way too slow. I'm all for trying to build tension and dramatic storytelling, but sometimes there's just kind of a get to the point aspect of this, and a couple of the specials felt really grindy. I'll be getting to that a little bit more in the spoiler section. That being said, again, on a positive note, I do feel the big scene that, again, not going into direct spoilers, but the big scene that kind of upset a lot of Doctor Who fans is not the worst thing to happen to the show. Again, there have been far dumber parts of this show that have made even less sense, but, who am I to judge, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, overall, I give these a B. Don't know if I would necessarily use these to introduce people new to Doctor Who, because they might get a little confused. I would say maybe wait, unless you do the last one with Ncuti Gatwa, and then that would probably be a better jumping on point, because you're just starting straight ahead with the new Doctor there, instead of having to explain regeneration, a lot of Time Lord lore, or anything of that nature. So, yeah, again, overall, I'm giving it a B.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dreadful, MD.
Monster Doctor.
And today, we're operating in my creepy clinic. This patient's got a throbbing headache.
A pounding heart.
And a tummy ache.
Let's operate.
Brain food. Tasty.
Yeah, let's pump his belly.
Belly brew.
Yum, tastes good.
The Dr. Dreadful MD Creepy Clinic.
New from Tycho.
Did you know there have actually been 10 Doctor Who's? Yeah, the Daleks were originally called the Mutants, and TARDIS stands for Time and Relative Dimensions in Space.
Radio Times. You're more informed because we're more informed.
Okay, again, this is a spoiler section. Skip to this point if you wish to avoid. Okay, so the first of our specials is called The Star Beast, and this is actually an adaptation of a comic story. I forget who the writer was, but the artist was Dave Gibbons, who worked on Watchmen and all sorts of things. But most notably, he was the artist on Alan Moore's Watchmen. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, this involves the Doctor who, this isn't a direct adaptation. This appeared long before in the comics, I believe. It was actually a 4th Doctor story in the comics. I may be wrong on that, but that in case the Doctor, however, when we were leaving off from the last Doctor Who episode, for lack of a better term, that we got, the 13th Doctor regenerated into the 14th Doctor, who is an exact doppelganger of the 10th Doctor. And they do make it known this is the 14th Doctor. At one point, the Doctor says, I don't understand, first I had, yes, I looked like this at one point, but then I had a bow tie, then I was a Scotsman, and then I was a woman. So, yeah, he acknowledges the previous generations, and this isn't, he didn't go back to number 10. So anyway, and just as this happens, he winds up bumping into Rose, who is Donna Noble's daughter. Donna sees him, but does not remember automatically right away, and yeah, he winds up, talking briefly with Donna's husband. I believe is Sean. Yeah, Sean is Donna's husband, and he explains, like, this lottery ticket that he had given her, way back in what was that special called? Was it End of Time? Anyway, yeah, End of Time. The lottery, they did win this £166 million lottery, but they only used it to buy a house and open up a small business, a boarding house, running it out as a boarding house. And then she just donated the rest to charity. And it's like, oh, okay. So, yeah, they're kind of still in something of economic straits. They still kind of barely scrape by. Rose makes little plushies to sell on Etsy. Apparently that has been bringing in some decent income. As this is happening, a large flash appears in the sky, and it turns out to be a spaceship that seems to crash into the middle of a steel mill. However, a further inspection by UNIT, used to be the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, I can't remember what it's called now. I never got that, what that new acronym was. But they investigate, and they piece together that this thing landed. The doctor, of course, also winds up investigating it. Bumps into the new science advisor, a woman in a wheelchair named Shirley, possibly Shelley. I think they say both. But Shelley, I think I'm going to run with Shelley. Bumps into her, and he says, they do they talk a little bit about it, and like, Donna Noble can't remember me because she'll die, and but I think she, somehow is playing a part in this. As this happens, Rose bumps into a creature called the Meep, who explains to her that, that this was in the ship, it was in an escape pod that came off of it, and that they are being hunted for their fur. And the Meeps are hunted by these creatures called the Wrath Warriors, and so, they need to protect it. Donna finds the Meep. The doctor also winds up encountering the Meep, while Donna's mother is desperately trying to keep him away, trying to keep her from remembering everything and dying. Again, if somehow you're watching this and you don't know the history of Doctor Who, Donna Noble was a companion of the 10th Doctor, also played by David Tennant, who he had to wipe her mind because she absorbed all of the knowledge of the Time Lords, and a human isn't supposed to do that, and it kind of turned her into part Time Lord as well, but because it was overwhelming her body, he basically had to wipe it from her mind, but there's a chance it could always come back. In fact, ever since then, Donna has been dreaming about traveling in space and doing good and helping people, and you see that kind of reflected by her life on Earth. However, it turns out the Meep actually lied, and it is actually part of a conquering race that was mutated by their sun, and they can also use the sun to possess people and get them to do their bidding, which winds up possessing a group of unit soldiers who start repairing, and the steel mill workers who start repairing the ship because they want to unleash the sun again and mutate people around and conquer them and destroy their worlds. And so they have to work to fight the Meep. They get onto the Meep ship, and the Doctor has no choice but actually return Donna's memories to her to get her to work with him to shut this reactor down, the ship's reactor down, because its power. Basically, what it's going to do is it's going to uplift all of London and then burn it up for fuel, as you will, and that means he has to return her memories to her. However, it turns out that when Rose was born, the part of the genetic part of the Time Lord also passed to her, and so they both house it in them, and they basically wind up kind of giving it back to the Doctor, possibly shooting it. The ending got a little muddled. But yeah, the Meep is defeated. They elect to go visit Wilf, played by Bernard Cribbins, one last time at his retirement home. However, Donna accidentally spills coffee on the new TARDIS console, and it winds up shooting to the other end of the universe, to the edge of the universe, which leads into the second special, Wild Blue Yonder. This is the one where I think I understood what they were going for. They were definitely trying to go for an old, scary Doctor Who episode. Unfortunately, they wound up with one that just, it kind of spun its wheels a little too long. I think if you shaved 15 minutes off of this, it would have been a much tighter episode. But yeah, they wind up getting thrown to this, where there's this one ship, and it seems that something is floating around and they're not entirely sure, and they're hearing voices throughout it. And it turns out that something from a parallel universe crossed over into this ship and began to basically replicate the crew and take their forms, except they would just be a little off in some points. And it would eventually try to completely replace them and kill them so that they could fully, invade this universe. And, they wind up taking the forms of the Doctor and Donna, and there's some hijinks that ensue. Again, unfortunately, it starts getting real wheel grindy, and I kind of lose track of what exactly their motives were. But yeah, they eventually crack the code of this ship and realize they have to basically absorb every aspect of the person, their memories, everything about them, how they act, how they think, how they do things, every little iota of their being, in order to replace them. And so they start fiddling around with that, trying not to think of everything, until the Doctor pieces together that the captain of the ship basically sacrificed themselves to make sure they didn't completely take over and invade. And so they need to basically they need to blow the ship up, because they started the countdown really slowly, and they needed to do it as slow as they could so that it didn't blow up, so that these things didn't piece together what happened and avert the shutdown, the self-destruct. But now it becomes a race to blow the ship up, and then they have to get back to the TARDIS, which got beamed off because the hazard alert system beamed it away. And so basically it becomes this race, and that's where it really picks up a lot. They eventually obviously beat them, and they get back to Earth, where they find Wilf, but it turns out Earth is being attacked by everyone. And it's like basically everyone on Earth has become so stubbornly selfish, they just believe they're right. And so you have people who are just like walking into places where they aren't supposed to, and standing in the middle of the street and stealing stuff they're not supposed to take, and they're just all fighting with each other. And UNIT managed to use their artificial intelligence to develop a means to control it so they can be normal. They pick the Doctor and Donna up, bring them back to the headquarters, where Mel, the old companion of the 6th and 7th Doctor, is waiting. And the Doctor starts to piece together that it's this image, this latent image has been hidden in the Koreans launched. Well, first off, the South Koreans launched a satellite, which basically means everyone is now connected to online on Wi-Fi all the time. They're online all the time. They can look at screens all the time. It turns out that long ago, somehow the image of Stokey Bill, the first ever televised image, a ventriloquist dummy that got recorded and burnt up because the equipment to use it was so strong that it just couldn't stop anything, from being completely incinerated. And however, this image has been on there, and a sound of a giggle has brought this new thing back, and the Doctor starts to piece together what happened. They have to travel back to when this image was recorded to just before it, figure out where this dummy came from. They find this toy shop, which is run by a classic Doctor Who villain called the Toymaker. This villain first fought the first Doctor and was played by the late Michael Gough, who also played Alfred in the Batman films of the 80s and 90s. But he would, the character, of course, nowadays is considered is somewhat problematic, as his original moniker was a slur against Chinese people, and he was not necessarily intended to be Chinese, but he was obviously a white guy in traditional Chinese garments, which, yeah, obviously, again, has not aged particularly well. But it turns out the Doctor beat him in a game, but then he and the Doctor have to play another game to get out of this. This one, the Toymaker actually wins, which means they have to now set up a rubber match. And as this is and so they wind up returning to the present. I'd like to go more into the like how the Toymaker plays with things. He brings up the Doctor's companions since Donna, all of whom have died in some way, shape, or form. The lone exception, I guess, being Yaz and the others. But that's about it. Yeah, anyway. The Toymaker sets up, the Toymaker gets there, but he says, I faced one Doctor for the first game, I faced another Doctor for the second game, I have to face another Doctor for the third, and blast the Doctor with this unit cannon to induce a regeneration, which becomes the polarizing part, the binary regeneration, as the Doctor regenerates but winds up splitting into two. The Shudigawa Doctor, the 15th Doctor, and we still have the 14th Doctor, David Tennant. But because of this, they are now both allowed to challenge the Toymaker to this decisive game, which is just catch. First one to drop the ball loses. Ultimately, the Toymaker drops the ball, literally, and loses, and because of that, the Doctor is allowed to banish him from all of existence forever. However, the Toymaker points out, earlier in the story, the Toymaker pointed out that he had fought several other very strong beings throughout the cosmos. He fought the Guardians of Forever, the Black Guardian and the White Guardian, for those of you who don't know. And he also fought the Doctor's old Time Lord nemesis, the Master, and imprisoned him in a gold tooth. Said gold tooth is left behind and picked up by someone. So, obviously we're going to be getting a new Master at some point. It was definitely a woman's hand, so it might be another woman Master. And basically, what we have to fix this... Now, again, like I said, I know a lot of people are upset about the binary regeneration. Oh, it's stupid. Like, I would point out the 6th Doctor regenerated the 7th Doctor by banging his head on the TARDIS console. Journey's End, where the Doctor regenerated into his own severed hand and created a whole new Doctor from that. Let's see, let me think. The Doctor using his regenerative energy to heal River's Song. River's Song, again, also regenerating because she was conceived in the TARDIS, possibly. Never really explained how that worked. There are a few other things, come on. It's not the dumbest thing to happen in Doctor Who, is what I'm trying to say. But basically, what happens is, because he won, because the 15th Doctor was the one who technically won the game, he is allotted one last prize. He separates the TARDIS into 2 TARDISes, and he tells the Doctor, if you want to go off on your own adventures, you can. The 14th Doctor, if you want to go off and have more adventures with Donna, you can. But, I would strongly urge you to maybe stop and relax just a little bit. Let me go on and have the adventures. And it seems that that's what the 14th Doctor is going to do, as he sits down to a Sunday dinner with Donna, Rose, Sean, Rose's mother, Donna's mother, and Mel. And, he's like, you know what? I think I've earned a life of peace, so I think that's what I'm going to do for a while. And that's how that ends, which leads into the 4th, which is the 4th and final special, which is the Church on Ruby Road. The first true 15th Doctor story, introducing his new companion, Ruby Sunday, a young woman who was left 24 years earlier. So, yeah, in 1999, I think, on Christmas Eve, was left on the doorstep of the church on Ruby Road, and has been raised by a foster parent Pretty much all her life, she was never properly adopted. This foster parent winds up welcoming in a new child, another foster child, named Lulu Bell for a few days as this is happening. And basically, Ruby is trying to backtrack her. She uses a TV show to track her DNA and see if she can find her birth mother in any way, or any information on her birth family. But strange incidents of bad luck start popping up, and it seems the doctor is sort of following her, trying to figure out what is her connection to this. And as this happens, like she said, it's also her birthday, but it's also this new foster baby Lulu Bell's birthday. And that proves enough of a coincidence for a group of goblins to kidnap the baby and hike it on board their giant, tied-together goblin vessel in order to feed it to their goblin king, who is not played by Stephen Fry. Anyway, this is where Ruby finally fully encounters the Doctor. He perform musical numbers to get the baby away. They untie the goblin's ship. However, the goblins then manage to travel back in time and actually eat Ruby when she got abandoned, so that Ruby never comes into history, and things start disappearing. And so the Doctor has to go back to set that right in order to set everything right again. And briefly, we get these points where this is like I said, this fourth special was not good, unfortunately. This is where I think the pacing issues really came into it, because there was so many things. Like, it took 20 minutes to finally get the Doctor involved into the story fully, and even then, it's just like it goes by so fast that we're now in the Doctor meets the family bit, and then oh wait, now something else has popped up, and it's like, I really wish they'd just pace this out. Or maybe this special, I think, maybe needed to be a little longer. If we're going to take that long, like, maybe have some more. And the goblins, unfortunately, do not come across as threatening villains. They're overall, like, you had the Return of the Toymaker, you had the Parallel Universe monsters, you had, the Meep, which I thought was fun. Those villains were all pretty good. The goblins were not. They are the ones that kind of, I hesitate to say doomed these specials, but they're the ones that really hamper the ending of this for me. The Doctor has eventually set things right, and as this happens, Ruby pieces together that he's a time traveler and runs on board the TARDIS to become his new companion, and we see this neighbor character who's been there the whole time, named Mrs. Flood, who seems to realize this was a TARDIS. I personally think that they're probably going to reveal that she is actually Ruby's mother. Because it seemed like they were building up that she had something of a similar fashion sense. Obviously the actress is, she's been on EastEnders, but I think there's a chance that they're going to reveal that she's got some type of connection to Ruby's mother. I'm willing to bet she's at least the one who maybe left her at the church. But yeah, that's where I'm kind of getting at there. I mean, I'd say that last special in particular, the humor overall is pretty good in it. Like, the way they play the bad luck happening, drink spilling, the grocery store bag ripping open, and even the interviewer from the TV show, suffering several injuries, including apparently being done in by a falling Christmas tree, until the Doctor, again, when setting things right, steps in to intercept it. Again, just to get rid of the goblins. So, yeah, like, that worked, but unfortunately, again, because I found the goblin such an underwhelming villain, the rest of it kind of just fell apart. So, yeah, that's kind of the main problem. Like I said, overall, though, again, most of them were fun. Again, just pacing issues, I think, kind of did them in a little bit. Some I wish were more like 45 minutes, others I wish they were more like, an hour and a half. Because I think that would have allowed a little more breathing room in this. Because, like, ones were too rapid fire, the other ones were too grindy. It's like, maybe balance these out just a little bit. So, yeah, that being said, like I said, I do think Shugat was going to be a really fun Doctor. I think he brings a lot of Matt Smith energy into this. And I'm not just saying that because he's also young, but Matt Smith brought a lot of kind of big kid energy into it. Like, he was just a big kid, and I see I see this one being made, not quite so much big kid, but definitely teenager. Like, you know, Ruby is with a band early in the special, and you see the Doctor's in the club, and he's dancing with the people and having fun, and wearing a kilt and everything. So, you know, he can be fun. So I do think Shuigawa is really going to be a really top-notch Doctor. I think that's going to be good. In case you're wondering my thoughts on previous Doctors, I won't get too deep. But, you know, going into it, I kind of started to fall out with Peter. I thought Peter Capaldi was a really good Doctor, and I liked most of his stories. I thought his last season was kind of hit or miss. I did think his final special was good, though. The Jodie Whittaker Doctor I did not catch a lot of. That's what happens when you air during football. But yeah, a lot of the stories, you know, especially when they tried to do the whole timeless child thing, I really did not like. I thought, you know, one, they were just her having fun. Those were pretty good. Yeah, but trying to do deep lore stories and some of this other things like destroying Gallifrey again, like, you know, we just got Gallifrey back. Like, why do we need to destroy it again? Why, like, you're trying too desperately to recreate what worked before, but don't do that. Just tell good stories. So yeah, you know, the Rosa Parks episode. I appreciate what they were trying to do, but at the same time, the time-traveling racist who needs to ensure that racism still exists. Yeah, that was just kind of cringy. But yeah, and also, I know, like I said, overall I liked Jodie Whittaker, but she had the only other problem I had, she had that weird facial tic where she would get kind of like gap-mouthed. Yeah, sometimes it's just like, you know, where she was supposed to be the kind of like, ooh, this is cool looking, and she's more like, I don't understand. Yeah, but other than that, like I said, most of it I thought was fine. I thought her last special was actually really good. So, yeah, overall, I do think Shuigawa was going to be a good Doctor, and so I'll get more into that, I guess, if I do a review of the full series, which starts in May. So I don't know if I'll be doing that in 2-episode chunks or not. So we'll see how that turns out when we get there.
The 11th Doctor has arrived with his new companion Amy Pond and new sonic screwdriver. He's confronted Hawthorne and the terrifying Smilers. Exterminate! And saved planet Earth from a new race of Daleks. The Weeping Angels returned in the Maze of the Dead, but they were no match for the Doctor. Doctor Who action figures and accessories.
From character.
Hello, I'm John Pertwee. No, I'm not. I'm Patrick Troughton, aren't I? Anyway, I am here at Grover's Mill, New Jersey, site of Orson Welles' immortal War of the Worlds. Aha! Oh, did you see that? I'd like to remind you that NJN needs your $40 membership. I urge you to help support the network that brings you Doctor Who. Call 1-800-528-6600 right now. Too often, membership appeals are a war of the words. Public television interrupts your favorite program to solicit your membership. You yell at your TV, "Get off! Get off!" But not on NJN. The rest of 1986 is pledge-free, folks. Pledge-free Doctor Who. Well, that's logic even a Dalek could understand. NJN. Positively worth joining.
Okay, so right now I'm planning for the next few videos to kind of be Madden stuff again. I'm going to probably talk a little bit about NFL free agency and the upcoming draft in a couple of those videos. Might be 2, might be 3, I'm not entirely sure. I'll see how that shakes out. And the next kind of streaming thing we're going to be doing is X-Men 97. I was trying to get through a whole rewatch of the original series so I could kind of feel more caught up, but it's getting to the point now I'm probably just going to need to start that. But I think before that, it's going to be, the next video will be the random trade review on Punisher Kill Crew. So that's what's in the lineup. Also, I don't know exactly when these videos are going to be coming up. I'm going to keep trying to upload on a regular basis as long as I can. But my job situation needs to settle out now. The weather is finally nice enough. I'm trying to see if I can get back to my old job, but if I can't, I'm probably going to need to start a new job, and I'm going to need to start really soliciting Patreon donations harder. Like, I don't want to get too far into e-begging, but if you can spare a couple bucks, it would really help. Okay? Like, I don't really want to get too reliant on it, but it might have to start getting to be that way for anything to continue. Or at least on as regular a basis as I can. If not, things are going to be a lot more stretched out. I don't want to, but again, unfortunately, that's kind of... I'm not trying to be so much of a downer, but unfortunately, that's kind of the way things are shaking out right now. Sorry to end like that, but hopefully things will get better. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember you can request a movie or a television series for me to review at my Patreon at patreon.com/sleepytimeforcat productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can be alerted to further videos.